Masters in the abode, brothers and sisters around the world, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you today. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, as currently I'm on a plane somewhere flying over the Indian Ocean on the way to Europe. However, using technology, I've recorded this short sharing so you can see this even though I'm not there in person. Today I'd like to just touch on 4 topics. Firstly, a quick update on what I've been up to. It's been over 12 months since I've shared on this platform to this group, so I'd like to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing. Also talk about Sister Sharon, her recovery from cancer and the bone marrow transplant, which most people are aware of. Commissioning. 1 week ago I was commissioned by Master Cheng in Taiwan, so we can talk about that a little bit. And finally, just touch on one Dharma example, quite topical, on the never slighting Bodhisattva. So what have I been up to? Well, I've been up to what I have been up to almost all the time, and that is spending time in Africa. Still, I'm spending about 2/3 of my time in Africa. Now, I'm in Africa for my work, but on the weekends and when I have free time, I do as much Tzu Chi activity as I can. In recent times, I've spent time in South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini. Tzu Chi distributes a lot of rice in the southern African countries. So in Lesotho, for example, where this picture was taken, rice is distributed to some 30,000 families per year. What makes countries like Eswatini and Lesotho very unique is that the rice has to go to the villages. The villages are very poor, so they cannot come to receive the rice. We have to take the rice out into the villages to give to them directly. Once we get to the village, people take the rice home either by foot or, in this case, by donkey. Doing Tzu Chi work in Africa is a lot of fun, and it's all very joyful and happy. And you can see here the volunteers and myself, we are really enjoying helping others with this relief work. The recipients are also very happy. You can see this picture here. It looks a very sunny day, but actually it's in the winter, and the temperature is very cold, maybe only 5 or 6 degrees. So we're distributing both rice and blankets. And you can see that people are using the blankets immediately. Here's a short video of their reaction to receiving the rice and blankets. It is very common after we give rice that people sing and dance exactly like this to show their appreciation. As well as doing relief work, we also focus on training and Dharma and what have you. This was the Southern African Tzu Chi camp, which was held in Johannesburg in 2018. I attended this camp with the Lesotho team, but there were people from Mozambique, Botswana, South Africa, and Eswatini there as well. Also at this camp, I bumped into none other than Brother Yuan as well, and that camp was also repeated this year, 2019. So this was just 1 month ago. And it was very happy for me to see that Lesotho group, the African group that I've been working with for the past 3 years in Africa, most of that group also came to Taiwan for commissioning last week as well. Okay, now talk a little bit about Sister Sharon. As most people are aware that 3 odd years ago, Sharon was diagnosed with cancer, a very aggressive form of leukemia, was only given a few weeks to live and needed a bone marrow transplant to survive. We had a very, very difficult period of time. Tzu Chi helped us a lot during that period. This is just a quick recap of what happened. So before she got sick, this is a few months before she got sick, life was very good. We were very involved with Tzu Chi. This is the 2 of us in Taiwan on the entrepreneurs trip. We also helped out a lot with Tzu Chi in Australia. This is us helping out in the kitchen, as most people do. Sharon also is very involved with the choir. This is the choir group performing in Sydney, and as well with our education mission. In Tzu Chi Sydney, we provide classes for autistic children, and this was a year-end party that we had arranged for them. Now, this picture is quite iconic in that this is the last day that she was normal. 24 hours later, this is her in hospital. She went for a checkup with the doctor. She was feeling a little bit tired and run down, and she was diagnosed with cancer and told that she may die within 4 to 6 weeks. It was a very shocking experience for us. As a cancer patient, your health deteriorates very quickly. So within a few days, she started to look sicker and sicker. Here, her face is very red, and that is due to the effects of the chemotherapy medication. Of course, soon after, hair falls out, and then your health really deteriorates. You lose a lot of strength. You become very sick and very weak. You can see on the left-hand side of the picture here that she's receiving blood transfusions already. And then, you really drop to a very low level of health. You can see all the machines on the side pumping different types of medication into her body. And she's got 2 tubes, one for oxygen to help her breathe, and another one is a feeding tube because she couldn't eat. But you see in these pictures that actually, despite being very sick, she still is smiling and still doing her best to remain positive. Tzu Chi helped us enormously during this very difficult period of time. And the compassion that was showed to us was incredible. Now, this picture was a picture I took at the Tzu Chi Hospital in Taipei. And it's Buddha giving medical relief and compassion to a sick patient. So this is the mission of Tzu Chi medical mission. And this is it in reality. This is a picture taken 48 hours after Sharon was admitted to hospital. And very luckily for us, one of the masters was visiting Australia and had the time and was willing to come and visit her in hospital to give her some support. And it really made a very big difference. But Tzu Chi helped our family in many ways. This is just a summary of some of the visits that we had from Tzu Chi people. Tzu Chi people visited Sharon in hospital every single day for all 170 days that she was in hospital. And this made a very, very big difference to her state of mind and her peace and comfort during this time. As well as that, English Dharma. This exact group now played a big part in her recovery and treatment. And we can see here, looking back, this is the very early days of when this group started, back in December. This particular video is December 2016. This is only about 10 days after she was admitted to hospital. She's already watching the English Dharma on Saturday mornings. And every Saturday, we would watch this live. If you can see here, this is the old Skype forum before we moved to Zoom. This is another day. Here's Brother Yoping as well, presenting, sometimes Brother Joe, sometimes Brother Yoping, if we remember. And this continued on throughout the time she was in hospital. So here you see we jump forward. This is February 2017, and we are still doing this in hospital. It really made a huge difference. And if some people remember, in January of 2017, actually Sister Sharon shared from hospital, her hospital bed, when she was very sick. She shared with everyone from there, which was a very nice event. But as life continued, she did slowly recover, and the treatment was successful. So as she started to recover, she returned to do Tzu Chi activities almost immediately. This is the year-end blessing with Master. And here she is again, still sick, but starting to recover. This is a picture of some of our family members in Tzu Chi Sydney. The 2 girls there are my daughters wearing their cheongsams. And then you see here now returning to do home visits and what have you. You can see her hair is starting to grow back and she's looking much healthier. This is the choir. She's returned to the choir. And this particular performance was at the hospital where she was admitted for a cancer treatment. As a way to say thank you, she took the Tzu Chi choir there to perform for them. And again, doing more Tzu Chi activities. This is the free dental clinic that we have every year. She was helping talk to some of the patients as they were waiting for their treatment. This is another big activity that we do in Sydney, which is the environmental protection activities, where we go out planting trees. So her health has recovered to this stage that you can see, her hair is growing back. She looks very healthy. You wouldn't know that she was sick and is even able to go out and do physical activities like this. So much so, her health has recovered that now we were both able to be commissioned last week in Taiwan, which was really fantastic. And if you look at this picture, you would not believe that just a few years ago that she faced a very, very high chance of dying from a very horrible disease. Which leads me on to our commissioning. I've been a Tzu Chi commissioner now for 6 days. And let's talk a little bit about that experience in Taiwan. The commissioning was held in Banqiao Jingsi Tang in Taipei. It was from the 5th to the 10th of November. There were 431 attendees from 26 different countries. The proceedings had to be translated into 5 different languages, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, and Turkish. This is a picture of some of the group. Before the main activity started, we did a tour of some of the Tzu Chi activities in Taipei. This was at one of the recycling centres. This is my team here, but just to give you an idea of the international nature of Tzu Chi now, we have people from Brazil, Zimbabwe, Montreal and Toronto, of course, is both in Canada, Sydney, Australia, Singapore, South Africa, Vancouver, which of course is in Canada as well, and Mozambique. I'm very happy to bump into Brother Joe. This is the first time I've met Brother Joe Huang in person after seeing him online for three and a half years now. And of course, I can't help but bump into Brother Yoping again. Very nice to see him as well. We also met a few very interesting people. This is Dr. Zazali from Malaysia, who most people on this forum are from Malaysia, you would know very well. But it was very, very interesting talking to him about his motivations and his interest in Tzu Chi. And he's the first male Muslim commissioner from Malaysia, and it was a great privilege to talk to him and just get an insight into his thinking. And I would definitely recommend to the Malaysian brothers and sisters, if you could get Dr. Zaza to come and talk about his experience to an English forum, that would be very beneficial. Also present were two very important people from Malaysia, Tantris Lim and Tan. And I managed to have a good conversation with Brother Vincent Tan. Now, Vincent, as I think everyone knows, is not that conversant in Chinese. And I introduced this group to him to help him learn Dharma in English. And he was very, very interested to participate in this group. So he has shown interest to watch the videos that are put onto YouTube, and has also said that he's willing to share with this group at some point in time in the future. So Sister Tzu Chi, this is something that we need to follow up with him to get him to share to this group. But he was very enthusiastic, very positive, and I think he's an absolutely great asset to Tzu Chi Malaysia, having someone of this caliber on board. Those that know about the commissioning process in Taiwan, it is a very intensive program. You start very early in the morning and you go to very late at night. Lots and lots of great activities to do. For me, though, one activity really stood out as being of great benefit, and that was the morning Dharma session, which was held in English. And we had that for 2 mornings in a row. It was scheduled for 3, but on the last day, that was the day of commissioning, we just didn't have time to have it, and we did more rehearsal. But the 2 mornings that we did have it, it was very, very beneficial. It was beneficial because we had masters from the abode speaking to us directly in English, which was fantastic. But also we had brothers and sisters from the Tzu Chi family around the world, and having their perspective it was also very, very beneficial. So those that haven't been to Taiwan before, I'd recommend this session. You have the choice to go to the English or the Chinese. I think unless you're very fluent in Chinese, I'd recommend going to this English session. It was very, very beneficial. And this type of format, if that could be extended beyond just the commissioning course, but into a more wider forum, I would definitely be interested to participate in those more often. This is coming up to the commissioning itself. I remember Brother Joe Huang was talking to us in Taipei about his feeling just going up to receive the blessing and commissioning from Master. I went through a similar experience. In my mind, I was thinking, what would I say to her in the few seconds that I had with her? I prepared something to say. When I actually got in front of her, I didn't really say anything. She actually spoke to me, which I was very surprised and very happy about. She said, "Hualien, welcome," and I was very touched by that. And I thought I should say something back. And I thought, should I say Shishir or Ganan or something? In the end, I didn't say anything, so I just smiled at her, and she smiled back. And I think that this is a smile in this photo. I mean, I assume it's a smile, but if it's, please don't shatter that illusion if it's not actually a smile. Okay, last section I want to talk about is something we were talking about in Taiwan, and of course on this forum as well, never sliding bodhisattva. Now, this is a very simple summary of how I understand the story, that the never-sliding Bodhisattva saw the innate Buddha nature in everybody and never wavered from his beliefs. And no matter what happened, he would never give up hope. He was ridiculed by others, and eventually, over time, they transformed their ways. That's a very simple summary. So what is a practical application of this story to our everyday lives? Well, here's a real-life example, and to say this is not a perfect match necessarily, but when we talked about this Dharma story, this event actually came up in my mind that this was quite close in parallel to the story. So what happened? Well, Tzu Chi Sydney was contacted by a lady in Taiwan who was worried about her brother who lived in Sydney. This brother had mental health issues and depression, and he refused to speak to her by telephone and email, chat, and what have you. This lady had no other close relatives in Australia who could help. She couldn't speak English. She didn't know anyone in Sydney. And in desperation, she contacted Tzu Chi Sydney for help. And of course, this is something that Tzu Chi is more than willing to do and is very happy to do. The case was assigned to Sister Sharon. This is a very difficult case. This person refused to answer the door. He wouldn't open the door. When we could get him to open the door, he wouldn't talk or communicate. He was quite impolite and rude. Actually, he was very impolite and rude. But despite this, Sister Sharon preserved and tried always to connect with him. She always stayed polite with him, friendly, just always had confidence that she could turn him around. She went so far as getting our son to clean up his garden and mow the lawns. His garden was a mess, and she asked our son to go along and help. But then, after one special visit, he started to recover. And then within a short period of time, he re-established contact with his sister and family, and this case was closed. We had a successful outcome and the case was closed. This is a picture of my son mowing the lawn. You can see it's very long grass here. My son was 15 years old at the time. And this is a picture of the backyard. It's very long and overgrown. This is what it looked like beforehand, and this is what it looked like afterwards. Now, we did this for a number of reasons, or Sister Sharon did this for a number of reasons. First, that she thought that if she cleaned house, he may feel more positive about himself and what have you. But also practically in Sydney, if you have long grass, that is a fire risk and a snake risk. You'll get snakes in the grass. So you neither want a fire or snakes. So you have to practically keep your grass under control. This was a very, very hot day. It was about 32, 33 degrees Celsius. And the patient didn't communicate with my son at all and didn't even offer him a glass of water. So this is you can get a feeling for what his state of mind was at this particular time. Okay, several months later, after the case was closed, Sister Sharon saw this patient just while out shopping, and then he sent her this email message. Okay, the message starts, it was excellent to meet you unexpectedly in Chatswood, that's part of Sydney, on Saturday. I'm very happy to see you're fully recovered from your illness. You look like a new lady. Hope you keep on and focus on your health. Health is the most important thing in our life. He's friendly and polite. This is the first friendly and polite thing that he has ever said to her. So that was fantastic. But then it goes on. If we look at the last part of the email, he says, I want to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for your visiting me and helping me with the garden work, mowing the lawn, during my hard time as a patient. I really appreciate your concern about me. Also, I'd like to apologize for my impolite manner and behavior due to my poor mental health conditions. I really apologize for that. And you can see from this his transformed thinking. He completely changed. And this is a very touching letter to receive from him. So the question is, what caused this transformation? Well, it was just one special visit from Sister Sharon was all that was needed to start this process. And this was the visit. She visited him when she was sick with cancer, very sick. And at this particular time, it was very serious for her. She needed to find a bone marrow donor or would die. So the cancer was under control, but she needed a bone marrow donor. If no donor could be found, then she would die. The doctors had just told us that they did a search of all 30 million bone marrow donors around the world, and there was no match. Therefore, there was probably no hope. And her life expectancy would just be 10 to 12 weeks from this date. And she would die of one of two things, either an infection because she had no immunity, or just from the cancer if it returned. But her life expectancy was 2.5 to 3 months only. The hospital gave her 4 hours leave that she could leave the hospital. She'd been in hospital for hundreds of days at this stage. Now, the purpose of this leave was to go home and make preparations for the worst case scenario. See a lawyer, see your family, make preparations for your passing. But instead of doing that, Sister Sharon wanted to use this time to visit this most difficult home visit patient. When she went to visit him, she is obviously much sicker than him. They both look sick. He's sitting there looking quite unhealthy in his pajamas. She's also sitting there looking very unhealthy in her pajamas. But she told him that she cared, was worried about him, and concerned about his health. And when he realized that this lady was much sicker than him, was most likely going to die, but when she was in hospital, was thinking about him and was worried about him, this started to transform his thinking. Now, as an aside, I would like to everyone watching this to ponder, if you were in that same situation, if you had 10 to 12 weeks left to live, and you only had a few hours of time that you were released from the hospital, would you go and see your most difficult home visit patient, or would you spend that time with your friends and family? It's a very interesting question, and I think it was a very selfless, very kind move on the part of Sister Sharon. And it worked. And she continued to visit him as both she and him got better. You can see this is a photo several months later. Both of them still look a little bit sick, but you can tell the weather has turned cold because they're both wearing big jackets. So this is about 6 months later. And this story finishes with Bunqiao last week. That when Sister Sharon and I arrived there, this lady in the middle of the picture is that patient's sister, the one that called Tzu Chi so many years ago, just concerned about her brother. She was so grateful to Sister Sharon and to Tzu Chi that she and her husband came to visit us at Bunqiao to say thank you very much and to show their gratitude. It was really useful. Now, I find that this home visit case also has a very close affinity with our family, not only because of this Bunqiao connection, but the day that my son mowed the lawns at this person's house, if you remember, I showed 3 pictures of that. That was the day after Sharon was admitted to hospital. So she was admitted to hospital on the Monday night. On the Tuesday morning, we went and mowed the patient's lawns. My son did that. Now, we had that arranged already, and of course I said to Sister Sharon on Monday night, we will not go to do the home visit on Tuesday. We will come and spend time with you in hospital. And she insisted, no, we had to fulfill our obligations to that person. So my son, before coming to see his mother in hospital for the first time, went and did a home visit on her behalf. And I think this is really the selflessness, but the really, truly walking a bodhisattva path on behalf of Sister Sharon, which has helped her recovery, but also helped the recovery of that patient. Okay, we're almost near the end, and I'll finish with this video. This is Buddha Sutra and Australian commissioners in Taiwan last week.
快进来，再一次，再一次。
Okay, so that's hello, hello, hello. It's more goodbye, goodbye, goodbye from me, but I wanted to just show that video because to me this typifies the experience in Bunqiao last week. It was very, very happy, very joyful, and a very good connection between my 2 most special Tzu Chi families, Africa and Australia. And as well, I just finished on what Master told me to do. After the commissioning, I had a chance to talk to Master quickly, and she asked me to do much more for Africa and much more for English-speaking people, which I will do. Okay, finally, so thank you very much for the opportunity to share today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to be able to share again in the future. Sister Tzu Chi, thank you very much. Everyone, have a great day, and see you again soon. Gan.
Good morning, all brothers and sisters around the world. I hope you hear my voice. Yes. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Today's sharing is going to be a bit interesting because I'm now on my way to Tzu Chi Primary School that is here. Tzu Chi Primary School and Secondary School, they are having their 20th anniversary ceremony, sports day, and also they are conducting like a fair, a donation fair, to donate for international relief. And so I had 30 over African volunteers coming back to Taiwan, and they are now in school to get prepared. Later on, they are going to have a performance. So sorry, it's going to be a moving vlogger kind of sharing. But I want to first say really, really happy and grateful that just now our brother Robert and Sister Sharon is sharing. I really had a chance to meet them in person during the camp, and we are really so happy to see that Sister Sharon has recovered so well, so well. She was totally, completely recovered, and I think it just testifies how Master says that we are cultivating our own blessings at this moment, accumulating it, 做来囤, that we accumulate these blessings when we are still in peace, in safety. We accumulate these blessings, and when it comes to times of difficulties, these blessings becomes our assistance, our help, to help us to go through these difficult situations. So we are really, it's a lot of well wishes to Brother Robert and Sister Sharon that they are now all okay, and seeing how she went through that condition within just a few hours. Suddenly, within that 24 hours, from still helping in Tzu Chi events to suddenly lying on a hospital bed. So that again testifies what it means when Buddha says impermanence, that this body is in fact formations, accumulations of these four elements that in any time it's possible that it falls apart. And so what's more important is how we make use of this body that we have, that is very rare to have, and make best use of it. Just like Sister Sharon, even in the last few hours of her, maybe the last few hours of life, she made the best use of it to continue to serve others. And I think that thought, that continuous thought of Bodhisattva heart, will bring with her to wherever she is, wherever she is. And I think that is really a role model that we can learn from. We don't know when we will go, but always make the best use of it. Okay. So for my own sharing today, sorry, while they are preparing, I wanted to maybe later had a chance to show you how they sing, and it's really awesome. But today, let me just share a little on these past few days. These 24 African volunteers, they came back to be commissioned by Master, and many of them is their first time flying on the plane, and they were sharing. It was really, really interesting. One of the sisters called Sister Amelia. Her house, we all must know her story. Her house is as bad as any other care family. It's made from earth and soil, and her toilet was just a few sticks with a plastic sheet. Yet, she herself have to walk 2 hours by foot, crossing a river, and then transfer 4 different buses in order to reach Tzu Chi's home. But yet, every week she goes to Tzu Chi home for group sharing, and she's also the first seed to first seed in her community called Mahubo, and she, for this past 4 years, she gathered more than 50 volunteers and take care of more than 300 care families, all because of her. She was the first seed, and today she's back to be commissioned. And during the ending ceremony, it was super interesting. She said that when it was her first time boarding a plane, of course, she's never left her house. Her community, living in the most poor condition. For the first time leaving her community, going to cities, taking a plane to another country. Of course, if without Tzu Chi, how would that be possible? And so she took a plane, and she said that first experience was like, she described it as her whole stomach and heart is like going to come out of her mouth when a plane start to take flight. You're like, whoa, she's going to for me. It was super interesting. And then when the airplane starts flying, she says that she looks at other people, starts to walk around in the airplane. And the walking around, it goes boom, 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 boom. And she was like, hey, well, how can you walk on the plane? Will the plane fall down? And then after that, she wanted to go to the toilet. But all the other passengers were sleeping, and she couldn't. She found a toilet, but she couldn't open the door because the door is too new to her. So she didn't know how to open the door, and finally
可唔可以細聲啲啊？
she got the
細聲啲
stewardess
啊！
to help, and for the students help her to open the door. She went in, she finished her business, and then well, she never used a flushing toilet before, and so she was looking around for something to press. Finally, she found a button. When she pressed it, she heard the flushing sound. It was we all took the plane before. It's quite loud. It got like very loud, and she described. She thought she's going to be flushed down the toilet, like sucked down the toilet. So that was her plane trip. After that, when she reached the train station, her first time taking a moving staircase. We all know what a moving staircase is. It's an escalator. But to her, how can a staircase move? And so first time seeing a moving staircase, and she was super nervous and don't know where to hold. Is it safe to stand on it? And she goes like really nervous and take one step, try, and is it okay? And she hold to the front, hold to the back, and finally stood on that moving staircase and started moving onwards. And so it's a lot of first experience for her. But coming back here, she said that she shared, but if not for Tzu Chi, it will be impossible for her to travel, to see so many people, to see so many brothers and sisters around the world. And she treasured such a moment. She never imagined in her life that this kind of thing is possible for her. So I think Tzu Chi is really a transformation, for a point of transformation for many people. And I'm sure that this experience will bring, will live deeply in her heart. And that day we brought all the volunteers also to our recycling station. And again, to us, recycling station, we thought that, oh, maybe we can begin our environmental protection mission in Africa, because we haven't really begun it yet. And of course, there's a lot of work to do. It's the companies that collects these recyclables, or a lot of facilities or infrastructures that need to be built, that it needs to be in place. So we haven't really begun on this environmental protection mission, having our own recycling stations in Africa, not yet. So we were thinking, or maybe had them to check out our recycling station in Taiwan and see if there's anything that we can learn from, and take back and see if there can be a beginning point for our recycling mission. Well, we went to Taipei. One of our recycling stations is one of the bigger ones. It was very organized. There's the department for papers, different kinds of papers, and then there's a department for bottles, for old clothes, for the cardboard boxes, for the thrown away bicycles, and so on and so forth. After looking one round around recycling stations, and then of course we have the sisters sharing that we turn this garbage into gold, gold into love, and love into this stream of pure water that will go around the earth. And how these volunteers, elderly volunteers, have been here organizing these resources, into separating them into the different categories, and how do we separate them into different categories, and each different ways of separating will have different values, and so that's why we separate the white papers from the colored papers, and so on and so forth. After going one big round around the recycling stations, I was talking to brother Chu from Zimbabwe and also sister Dennis from Mozambique. Later on, I also talked to some of our local volunteers, and they all have the same sentiment. That is, this is not a recycling station. This is a supermarket. Like, to them, everything inside the recycling stations are not garbage. They are all very usable to them, and to them it's very they were very wondering why are these things in the recycling stations. I mean, why do people throw them away? There's such good cups here. Oh, the bicycles look so good. The cardboard boxes are so clean and nice. To them, these are the top grade things. For example, cardboard boxes to them are the top grade bed mattress to them. So maybe you wouldn't know, but when we do relief distributions over there, after distribution, we always leave behind a lot of cardboard boxes. And I was asked, I wanted to teach them on how to sort these cardboard boxes out, organizing them properly, and then use them for recycling. But the volunteers told me that actually you don't need to do all this. Just leave the cardboard boxes here. And when we leave, a lot of people will come to collect these boxes and bring back home. Because to them, these cardboard boxes are very good bed mattress, or sometimes they use it to make into their cupboard to keep their things or the storage. To them, it's so useful, these cardboard boxes. To us, it's recyclables. And so the cardboard boxes department to them is like the department of beds, and then the bottles department to them is like the department of livelihood materials, where they can buy all the cups they want, and then the places for all the recyclable the electronics to them is just heaven. They've never seen much electronics before, and so that's a very different view of recycling stations that I never really thought about. But to them, that's really a supermarket. And one of the sisters also shared with me that she saw a cup within that trash, and to them, a cup is very useful. Of course, for many families, they don't even have a cup. So such a nice cup in the trash, to them, they will have quickly pick it away and then use it to drink water. She even says that even if the cup is cracked, they will continue to use the cup, but maybe not to hold water, but to hold rice or some other things. So they will find out ways to continue to use the cup. So you can imagine when the thing will really become a trash, when this cup really becomes just bits and pieces of plastic, and then they will really throw it away. So to them, everything is resources. Everything is resources. There's no garbage in this world. So, well, again, it's, I think, something that we really can learn from. It really depends on how we view things. If we view it very differently, everything is resources. If we can reuse, reduce, repair, recycle, no, everything can be used. Only recycle when it's at very, very, very last stage, when you really cannot do anything with it anymore. And again, that's another lesson that these African volunteers have taught me, and it's really awesome. So a lot of their life story, again, is something that that we can learn from. Say, one of the sisters from Mozambique, called Sister Maria. She's a very nice and chubby sister, very smiling a lot, and speaks very gently and very nice. But yesterday, when we shared in the abode, she shared that actually her life has been quite difficult. Her father and mother was divorced, so she has to choose between following her mother or following her father. So she followed her mother first, but the mother got married again to a stepfather, but the stepfather treated her very badly, beat her, hit her, and so she ran away and went to her father's side. Her father also got married again to a stepmother, and the stepmother also treated her very badly, and so she ran away again to go to her grandmother. Her grandmother was too poor, so she couldn't really take care of her. They wouldn't have any food to eat, and things like that. And so at the end, she has no choice to go back to her father's side to live. And so for quite a long time, she lives under terror, was being beaten, violence, um, and so uh, that's how her life was until she finally met Tzu Chi, of course, and then the sisters brought them to brought her to know Tzu Chi, and she says that it is because of Master's teaching. Master taught about that there's no one that we do not love, there is no one that we do not trust, there's no one that we do not forgive. And so she says that because of that, she chose to try to forgive her parents, her stepmother and father. And after that, she changed herself. Before, she was a violent person because throughout her whole childhood, she's been under violence. She needs that violence to protect herself. But because of Tzu Chi, because of Master's word, because of the whole family taking care, giving her the love, she changed. She decides to change herself first. So she changed from a violent person to a very nice, gentle, chubby and smiling sister. And her stepmother saw her change, and so her stepmother also changed. Now their relationship is mended, and even when she get married, this sister Maria, when she get married, her stepmother bought a ring for her marriage. And you can imagine, wow, that's quite a change. And so that's her whole her transformation because of Tzu Chi. That whole life changed. So again, I think we all have our own story, our life story, and how Tzu Chi really changed us. And I think here we really learn the lessons. Many things will come at us from our life, and of course, that is the things you could say it as the cost that we have planted from our past life that we need to receive this life or whatever. But really, Master wanted us to have the mindset that whatever come to us from our life, take it with a joyous heart, take it with a diligent heart, take it with a heart of a bodhisattva, and we will be able to overcome any such circumstances. Transform it, turn it into a stepping stone for us to go further, to go higher. And we can't really change others, but we can always change ourselves first. Like this sister, she changed herself and eventually changed her whole family, and now she's a happy sister back in Taiwan, participating in our primary school, primary and secondary school sports day, getting prepared for the opening ceremony. They are having their practices. They're going to enter the ceremony together with all the students, and of course they're going to sing and dance. They are practicing. Sorry, I couldn't have them to talk to everyone. Hopefully later when they begin singing, I could quickly go there to have everyone listening to them. Okay, so that's roughly about my sharing for today, what I have learned from them, what they see here in Taiwan, and their view that is very different from what we think. And so there's really a lot of different worlds out there, every different mind. Because of our background, we see the world differently. We see the world like hell, we see the world like heaven, we see the world like human realm. It's all depending our mind, our mind. So, but to us, the life in Taiwan is just normal human realm life. But to them, Taiwan is heaven, 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 up there, heaven. So really, which realm are you in? It really depends on your heart, how you think, how you think, how your background, and how you choose to see the world around you. The world is still the same. It just depends on how you look at it. So again, as in Sophorism, if you have a beautiful heart, everything you see will be beautiful. If you have Buddha's heart, then everyone you see is a Buddha. And so I think from their perspective, it becomes so obvious because their life is really so different from us. And they really gave us that different perspective that allowed us to empathize, to be able to think on their shoes more, to think on their circumstances more. And so everyone is a teacher to us. So thank you. That's for my sharing for today. And I want to say sorry again. I actually really forgot that today is my sharing. And so these arrangements to accompany these African brothers and sisters. And so I was in this moving condition. Really so sorry about that. I hope the sound quality is still okay. Yeah, I will end here. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Yesterday, I just listened to SiPing the translation. And then today, he can share with all of you already. And then it's just call back that day I have Ying Sui, the time when with the Zimbabwe, the volunteer. And then they was telling me that they can recite the Fa Hua Jing Xu. Then I was shocked, and also I just kind of like would like to listen how they chant out the Fa Hua Jing Xu. So I started, and then it's true that they know how to chant it. So I was thinking of, in fact, their voice are very good, and they can sing the song. And now if we turn the kind of voice to the chanting, then I believe that they can plant in a very good seed in their eight consciousness. And then later stage, we can see that how do we turn around the Africa as well. So this is kind of a very good, inspiring me. And I believe that all of you in Malaysia, in all of the world, although you are English speaking, but nevertheless, if you have the kind of sincere mind, I believe you can also follow this way as well. And that is all my sharing today. Thank you.
好，那个你那边我刚刚有寄一个影片，给你看，要不要播一下？对啊。Hi, morning. Can you all hear the sound from abroad?
Yeah, very loud and clear.
Okay. Anyway, thank you for Brother Robert sharing regarding the whole experience of how they started to join Tzu Chi before certified as a commissioner and after. And even though for her sister Sharon, who are who are diagnosed a leukemia patient, and yet she still never forget to do what the warranty is supposed to do. Yeah. So I think this is a very important that and I think as well as for the brother SiPing, and I think this is quite wonderful affinity that this is the first time I think we already bring the Dharma, we spread the Dharma outside, and as he is just now giving us a sharing, it's the outdoor sharing. It's like a kind of like, I think maybe next time we also can try to do some outdoor sharing using the computer or the handphone to do the connection and to get a real view regarding how is the background like. And like just now, Master Doyer say, and the African volunteers who are maybe they are very have a deep faith on the Master's teaching, and they are not just practicing the Dharma, and now they are reciting and the Lotus Sutra phase as well. And I think just now I have a short record regarding how they practicing the Tzu Chi. You can have a look. It's quite a few minutes. Yeah, and just our master Chan. 2 days ago, they were in abroad and they are learning the instrument of how to carry on the Tzu Chi. Okay. Okay. It's okay. Okay, and so now it's going to end our sharing today. And actually, language is no barriers, although we are from different country and we speak different languages. But yeah, and just now as you see our African volunteer who are start singing the Jing Cheng. Actually, if you don't see the video script, you will never know that they are African volunteers. But yeah, the pronunciation is so clear and just like our Chinese people who are spit out very easily. So I think we already have a good seed of the plant in our heart, and by following the Buddhist path. So let us keep on moving diligently and cultivating our spiritual cultivation in Tzu Chi path. Okay, thanks. This is the end for my feedback. Thank you.